Hi, this is Stephen Brower from Mountain Valley Community College. This is for computer literacy. It's summer 2017, and this is meant to be an addendum to Chapter 14A, which one of the things it gets into is sort of formatting papers. If we were in the classroom, I would have done the demo I'm about to do. I'm not thrilled with the way that the book begins the exercise by having you open an unformatted document and formatting it. What the normal thing would be is if you're going to be writing a paper for a class, you want to start the format from the beginning before you type anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new document. I'm a keyboard junkie. I did Control N. And what I'll do is I'm going to set up the formatting from the start. So for one thing, we have double space, and there's different ways to go in and do it, but I'm just going to pick the two. And the other thing I will do here is I'll remove the space after the paragraph. By the way, a practical reason why in the MLA format the entire paper is double spaced is so that the teacher can put comments in between the lines. So there is a functional purpose to that. Well, the first four lines of the the first four lines of the document. Well, there's going to be it's your name, and I'm just to be explicit instead of using joke names. I'm going to say your name, your teacher's name, and one thing is for as an aside, it's important you spell the teacher's name right. My name is Stephen with a PH, S-T-E-P-H-E-N, and it annoys me like you wouldn't believe when someone spells it with a V. I'm Stephen with the PH. Now, in terms of the course, the third line, if, let's say you're submitting it to an English class and the teacher has 5 sections, they may want something to distinguish that it is the section that you're in. Your teacher should say if they want you to put something different in terms of the course, but the course name would go there. Well, and then the date. Now, what's proper and what's done are two different things. Some teachers want the date that you're handing in. The idea that sometimes people work on drafts. You work on a draft, hand it in, work on a draft, hand it in, and what the date would show is this is the date that it's being turned in, and so it's the draft at that point in time. Some teachers just want it's the punchline of when something's being entered. Well, let's just pretend that I'm doing this. Let's say I'm preparing this to hand it in tomorrow, and let's just say I know I'm going to take 2 days to work on it, and so tomorrow, June 30th, is when I will work on. I'm sorry for the break in the video. I just went to a panic mode when I realized tomorrow is June 30th. Sorry about that. But let's just pretend I'm handing it in tomorrow. I'll put in tomorrow's date. But again, if you are doing multiple drafts, it would help to know which one it is, and the date can help. Okay. The title. Now, in the old days when I was a kid, the title page would have this information. We would go to town in terms of formatting it, and so it's not done that way anymore. By the way, one thing, if you notice, I do not have the first line indent on right now when I'm doing the title. I just did a Control E. And the thing is, if I did have the first line indent on, then my title would actually be skewed a ½ inch to the right of center, as opposed to being true center. So in case you're going back and adding the title after the fact and you're squeezing it before the first paragraph, be mindful that when you're centering it, you really want to center it on the whole document. Now I'll do Control L to go back to the beginning. The paragraphs in the document, as a way of distinguishing one paragraph from the other, have a first line indent of ½ inch, and mainly so that when you at a glance, a teacher can see where a paragraph begins. The formatting that is on this paragraph right here. So this paragraph has the first line indent, this paragraph is double spaced and there's no space after the paragraph, which I also can just double check by looking at it here. There's no space after the paragraph. So if I hit, if I type something and hit enter, the next paragraph is going to have the same formatting that this one is. By the way, let me, before I mess myself up, let me save this quickly. And I'm going to cheat a little. It's going to call this the MLA Demo 1. There is going to be a 2. MLA Demo 1. And I just want to save before I lose too much. In the header, in the right part, so Control R, well, you could have done there are these tab marks here. So let me undo this. If you need, for other documents, if you need to do things in different parts, it's like hitting tab puts you into the center tab, and whatever is done here is centered. And if you do tab, or let's say you do something here and then do tab once again, then what you end up is the right tab. For other documents, you wouldn't necessarily do the Control R, to flush right. You would just then do using the tabs. I'm sorry. So in the header, it would be your last name and then the page number. And you don't just want to type the number, because then you have to edit every single, well, actually you won't be able to edit because it would be the same page all the way in. You want to make sure that you're going through Word and having it embedded. And technically behind the scenes, what's there is a field. So you see how my blinking cursor, I'm not swearing, do you see how my blinking cursor is to the right of 1? If I move 1 space to the left, you see how that becomes gray? It's a visual indication that that is a field. That's how I grade. I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but that's how in prior assignments when I was looking at your footer to see that the file name was inserted as a field, that's how I checked. So I went to the right of your footer and I went 1 character to the left, and if it highlighted it gray, I knew it was the file name field. In this case, we're doing the page number field. By the way, the book for this 14A has you put in the footer of the file name. And yes, that is something I'm going to look when I'm grading it, but technically in the MLA format, it's not there, and some teachers don't want to see the file name. So you may want to see it, so you know the file that you're working on, but your teacher may not. So that's just something to be mindful of, is that although our chapter is directing us to do it, it is not part of the normal MLA. Okay, so I've done the formatting ahead of time, so now it's just a matter of putting the text in. Well, let me be lazy for a second, and let's come over to the text that's here. Let me highlight the text, and let's do a copy. And now if I come here and do a right click, let me do a paste, keeping the text only. And so I brought in the text from the quote-unquote starter file, kept the formatting that we had, and so it is double-spaced, and every paragraph is beginning with a first line indent. So that's one of the things I would have done in the classroom, I would step us through creating a blank document, formatting it the way we want it, bring the other text in. By the book having you edit, it's almost as if, well, you write your paper and then go back and then format it. You really should format it from the beginning, from the get-go. And actually, in a sense, one thing you could have done, which I should have said a couple steps ago, you actually could have saved this as a template. And well, anyway, that's another story. Okay, for old timers like me, in the old days when we did a citation in the middle of the paper, we used footnotes for citations. Footnotes in the MLA format are used to explain information if we're citating. We use a parenthetical citation. Now I'm just trying to illustrate something real quick, so I may get this in the wrong area. and I'm just trying to bring up something. So one, I'm going to go to references. I'm going to make sure I'm in the MLA format. By the way, if you're doing something for a psychology class most likely be APA, but English would be most likely MLA. So I'm making sure I'm in the MLA format, and then I'm going to do add a new citation. Now, at this point, it's fill in the blank. So depending on what you're referencing, whether you're referencing a book, whether you're referencing a journal article, whether you're referencing a web page, it's a matter of picking the right thing off the list and then filling in the blanks. And so the nice thing is, by us using this, it's sort of like a database that's going to be embedded in the document. The nice thing by doing this, as we're writing our document, we just add the source, add the source, add the source every time that we're doing a citation. And then at the very end, when we get a works cited page, basically we hit a button, boom, there it is. And so that's sort of the beauty of using this, is that instead of going to the end of the document and then writing, adding a works cited and going back and adding a works cited and going back, we're going to go and hit that at the end. Now, I didn't follow the book entirely in terms of how I filled in the fields, because they initially have you put in the name and then change it. I'm just trying to illustrate the bibliography and how it works. Okay, so I just added in a new source for this citation, and if I click here and do the drop down, by editing the citation, I can say, in this case, like what page it's on. Again, I'm deviating from the book. That might not be the actual page. I'm just trying to illustrate something. Well, let's just pretend, now again, I'm deviating from the book, that this right here is also a citation of the same source. What I'm going to do is do an insert citation here again, so I didn't have to retype all the information, and now I can go and then reference this page. Let's just say it's 78. So the idea is that you add the source once when you're doing the first citation. Every citation after that, you're just picking it off the list. At the very end, let me pause again. Okay, I switched documents. I just want to show you that the document that I'm in here, and for some reason I keep switching back to MLA, and to APA, and I'm not sure why. I guess because I have the other ones here, but the current list, this is the sources that are currently in the document that I'm using. So if here I insert the bibliography, it's going to come down to the bottom. If you pick one of these, it actually puts in some additional formatting, but I just want to do at the bottom here the insert bibliography. In the MLA format, the list is hanging indent, and the idea is when you have a long list, the name stands out. It's also supposed to be double spaced, and by default it didn't come in double spaced. So let me go in, and again I can make this double spaced and remove the space after the paragraph, and so then this is formatted the right way. So the idea is, as we're writing the document, we add the source, add the source, add the source as we have them, get to the bottom, format our works cited page, hit a button, boom, there's our bibliography. By the way, in prior versions of Word, if we went in and changed, we edited one of our sources, if we did a right-click update field, it would keep the formatting. But what I'm noticing now in this version of Word, if I say update field, it loses the formatting and has to get reapplied. So this is something that I'm not used to. The older versions of Word didn't have that as an issue. There might just be a checkbox that I haven't checked, and I didn't discover it before making this video, and for that I do apologize. What this video didn't go through was going through the footnotes. I have a limitation of 15 minutes, so let me just, that's enough for the MLA for right now. I apologize.